Hello, I'm Stephanie Sebbing from Quilt Addicts Anonymous. Today I'm doing some hand quilting, but it's not the fine hand quilting you're used to. This is called big stitch. Now, depending on where you are in the country, big stitch means a couple of different things. In the tutorial I'm going to show you today, we take a stitch on the top of the quilt that is about 1/4 inch wide, and then just a little nip on the bottom. You want to be able to take the smallest stitches you can on the bottom. Now, I really like this stitch because I'm not patient enough to do fine hand quilting. I've done it, I'm halfway decent at it, but I just don't want to put in the practice to become really great at fine hand quilting because it takes so much time, and I kind of like handwork sometimes, but not all the time. So this is a great alternative to someone who's maybe new to quilting and would like that hand quilted look, but isn't an expert at fine hand quilting yet. Because it's really easy to do, and it also is really easy to control where the needle is going. So maybe if you don't have a long arm and you want to try this, this is a good stitch to try. Now, what you want is you want a size 5 between needle, and you want some pearl cotton, or I have tatting thread that I've used as well, and that has worked as well. And then of course you need a thimble because we need to make sure that we don't get a blister on our fingers. So the difference between fine hand quilting and this, besides the size of the stitch, is your prep work. So what you want to do is just make a regular knot at the end. You don't have to do a quilter's knot. And so then what you're going to do is you're going to stick your needle in about 1 inch or so away from where you want to start, and then you want to give it put your needle through and then give that knot just a little bit of a tug, and you'll hear that knot pop through and be buried in between the layers. You don't want it sticking out the back, you want it in that batting. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up my first stitch, and so I'm going to put my needle about 1/4 inch through, and then I'm going to push my needle down and then bring it back up, giving it the smallest stitch that I can manage. Now, what's important about this is not that you have the teeniest, tiniest little stitch in between, but that you're consistent in the width of that tiny stitch. So you want to make sure that the look is consistent throughout, even if your stitch isn't as teeny tiny as it could be in between your 1/4 inch stitches on top. So now I'm going to load up a couple more stitches on here, and they're each going to be about 1/4 inch wide, and you can kind of eyeball that. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, it needs to be consistent. So as long as you can sew about a consistent width, then you're going to be good to go. So once I've got 2 or 3 loaded on here, I'm going to go ahead and pull my needle through, and then I start again. And when I'm done, it's really easy. All you have to do is, again, make one little knot. You don't have to do a quilter's knot. And then you can tug that knot through, and it's done. Your thread is buried and it's not going to come out. So I hope you've enjoyed this. This was one of the first techniques I learned as a quilter, and it was a way for me to be able to finish my own quilts at home without having to send them off to a long armor, and I wasn't at the time skilled enough to do free motion quilting on my own machine. So this gave it a little bit extra pizzazz. I've used it on my own wedding quilt, which I'm still working on 6 years later, again because I like handwork, but not all the time. So hopefully I'll actually get this finished now. Now that I've had my 6th wedding anniversary, it's about time. But I hope you've enjoyed the big stitch tutorial, and if you're looking for others, make sure to go to quiltaddictsanonymous.com and click on the tutorial section for lots of other quilting tips and tricks. Thank you very much, and happy quilting!